Hello, my friends. This is Sebastien back again. Collector, reseller, thrifter, all that good stuff. And just going to do another show and tell video here. I originally started in books with reselling because that was kind of one of my main areas of interest. And then got into clothing, and been doing some art and figures, art objects sort of stuff as well more recently. So I'll show some of the recent stuff I've picked up, but you'll notice here I'm very organized. These are recent clothing pickups. Organization, not my strong suit, but who cares? Starting off, this is, I believe, a vintage Heineken poster. So it's one of those classic, just wrap yourself in the flag and sell your stuff that way. Not cynical. Uh, Very American, making money. This next one's a cool one. This is Georgia O'Keeffe vintage exhibition poster, and it should actually be pretty good. It's very lovely, actually. But with these, what you want to do, and I've made the mistake quite a few times, is if you can, you check if you can access and see if it's actually paper poster, because a lot of times it can be like a repro of like on foam board or cardboard or whatever, and that's not really worth much. So if you can get the original posters, exhibition posters, that's what you want. Sometimes it's a little harder to access and be able to check. So just one of those things, but you can find really cool stuff that way. This next one's a really cool piece too. This is a vintage piece from Mexico, painted on burlap, which I thought was interesting. What stuck out to me was the imagery, which I thought was funky and cool and colorful, along with the material, that burlap. And it is signed in that corner, a little obscured by the frame. And you could tell, I could tell it was pretty old, just based on the wear from the back. And it has some staining. But it actually should be a pretty good piece, because my guess is I think it's probably from the 40s or 50s. And I want to check more closely on the signature, just to see if I can properly identify the artist, because I think I know who it might be, but I want to double check. This is a cool smaller piece. I believe Haitian, like of workers, like working in a field. And the stylization is very nice, and it's an original painting with the signature in the bottom. And just a cool piece. I like picking up those kind of just interesting style pieces that have a connection to particular cultures and everything. Speaking of, this is a cool piece from Panama, like folk art on textile. And second one of these I picked up. Very colorful, very fun. It's kind of touristy, you know. And you know, this wasn't too expensive. It was about $8 with the coupon. And most of these, I should mention, for those who might not know or have watched other videos of mine, I mostly do my sourcing from Goodwill. I'm based here in Phoenix, so we have a lot of Goodwills, Savers, other type of thrift stores. There's also a lot of estate sales, yard sales. There's a lot of ways actually to source here, which is nice. I mean, this is kind of a place of abundance, in my opinion. You know, people got different opinions on that, but I'm like, we live in a very good city for it, in my opinion. This is an interesting one. It's called The Crookedest Street in the World, which sounds intriguing. When you advertise a place like that, I'm like, I want to check it out. Hopefully with some bodyguards or people like my friend Laura, she's like my security. Like whenever I go anywhere scary, she's like who comes with me to protect me. But this is by the artist Albert Tolf. Apparently decently collected. This isn't signed, but this one was cheap and in fairly good condition, with that like backing board helped preserve it pretty well, I think. So that was good. Going on to a few objects. This is just a cool kind of folk art style thing.
I'm guessing, well, actually, with the dress, it might not be Mexico. It might be South American. So I'll have to research it. It had a little bit of chipping on the wings there. Another reseller friend of mine passed this to me because they're pretty picky with condition. But I thought it was so cool, and it was only $4. And I was like, I'll love having this around, even as I try to sell it. So sometimes that's a little metric of mine I use is, will I be happy having this thing for an indefinite period of time just around me? These are, I just love the patterning and colors on these. It's just really beautiful. This kind of opaque paint they used. And these were pretty cheap. They're signed. Wonderful little pieces. Yeah, I love these two, and not expensive. This next one kind of stuck out to me because it seemed like one of those things that's kind of like trains, like collectible. There's collectors for like boat related things, and I think this is the kind of thing that was like a souvenir probably back in the 80s or 90s. Didn't cost too much, a little under $4. The only thing is, yeah, there's some a little bit of chipping, and it's a Norwegian cruise line. So yeah, I thought it was cool. And this kind of thing, I'm guessing should sell around 40. So yeah, it's a neat piece. I haven't really come across this before, the yacht ones. This is a Torero and a bull, and they pair together. Together they cost about 14. I'm not sure when these are from because the same mold was used. I think multiple generations. So there's going to be like older pieces and stuff like that. But these look pretty good. And I think maybe sell around 60 or 70 would be my guess. Now this guy I don't believe is signed, but it's another piece I believe from Mexico, and for about $4 with coupon. It's just very cute. I just love the stylization. I'm a sucker for these. These are fun to have around. That one, say I have to guess maybe 20-30 bucks. So not too much, but those are cool. This is an interesting one. This is a Japanese teapot, I believe like cast iron, because it's fairly heavy. And the reason I got it, and I wouldn't have gotten it if it didn't have these design elements, was the dragonfly design on it, which I think is very cool. Combined with, it's got the marking here that it's made in Japan. And I'll have to research when this might be from, because I don't know this kind of stuff very well, but I think it's fairly sellable. Costs about $6.50, and it's just intriguing. Now, going on to media and books, I did pick up quite a bit. One of the things came from I found a bunch of really cool like art books and kind of theater and theater adjacent and design related subjects that I think belong all to the same person. They might have been a professor of theater or either somebody who like kind of worked in the craft in some form or fashion. But before I get to those, I did pick up one VHS, and I don't find a lot of VHS horror, but this is The Blob. And now, if this was in mint condition, like sealed, you're looking at really good money on that. In used condition like this, not nearly as much, but it's still a good find. And I mean, this kind of stuff is cool to collect, in my opinion, because it presents very well. Like if you have shelves in the back, I've seen VHS collectors and vintage horror collectors, how good it can look when you put that together. I think is great. Next, I'll try and go as fast as I can on some of these. Jean Genet, French writer, he was kind of pushing the boundaries on like kind of sexual kind of genre stuff back in the day. So that one's not a valuable book. It's just kind of interesting, a vintage paperback. Macbeth by the Italian writer Ionesco. And here, I believe it was a movie or theater tie-in and a production tie-in, and it just has a great cover. That one is probably a little bit more, maybe $10-15. This is by the author, the French author of the Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince, which is kind of a classic, just a classic all around, you know. And this is Flight to Eris, which was not one of his books I was familiar with, but this cover is just really neat and very good condition. Looking at maybe around 10. Ferlinghetti, I want to say this guy was connected to the Beats or like Beat adjacent. You know, I think late 60s, early 70s. I want to say he's got some of those San Francisco ties, at least with some of the publishers there. This isn't a first printing, but it's a cool cover. This one is from the theater guy, definitely, that I was mentioning earlier. So it's this is a Black Theater Review book. And the thing is, though, this is from 68, and it talks a lot about the Black Panthers. And it's quite rare. I couldn't find any comps or info on it. But because it's got the tie-in to the Black Panthers, that adds kind of like historical and cultural significance, because there's a lot of people who collect and have interest in that kind of work. Which is very understandable, especially when it comes to magazines and kind of reviews, zines, stuff like that. That kind of stuff, material is very hard to preserve, often wasn't printed in very high numbers. So for researchers, collectors, enthusiasts, this kind of material can be very important because it's not even oftentimes documented online anywhere. So there is value in access to that material. Here are some of the art books. Collecting treasures of the past, and this one's got a lot of cool like kind of antiquity, older medieval like European stuff, cool religious art, a lot of which I find interesting personally. This is similar. Blumke Gallery. This person, I think, it all came from the same collection. I think they had a pretty big interest in kind of the antiquities and stuff like that. And yeah, there's a lot of beautiful work and all that. This one I thought is kind of fun. It's a Spanish language book about fantastical beasts. And I don't know. It's cool. You know, probably not a crazy valuable book, but great to have. I mean, great to have, great to sell. I love being around that sort of stuff. Here we got the Golden Age of Spain. This is similar. It's got a lot of cool religious art. Just great painters, great sculpture, great art. You know, might be like $30. But for $3, it's not bad. Although, you know, you got to be real careful because the sell-through rates on a lot of art books can be tricky, you know. This is very specific. These are often like tied to exhibitions that were put on. And this one is on tiled design in Valencia. Now, that just seems damn specific to me, which I think is fantastic. Let's see if I can just give an eye. Of course, I'm showing only like the text pages. Can't find any of the photo pages. Yeah, this is a cool one. This one actually might have some decent value. This one is just an individual artist catalog book. You know, they're very like modernist art brut kind of deal, but fun. I like it. Yeah, let's say $20 on that. I mean, it's fine. Ooh, this is a big. Oh yeah, this is a cool one. This is not from the same color. This was at a different store. Southern Furniture, 1680 to 1830. I actually want to spend a little time in research and look through this one for my own just interest, you know, because it's not something I know well. It's not even something I necessarily am particularly interested in, but it'd be kind of cool just to get my bearings and get to learn about it a little bit. This one was about $3.50 with coupon, and probably looking at, not even that much. It's probably about $30. And the reason I say not that much is because you always got to consider the cost of not only the initial investment, but the space that you're needing to use when you're storing things. Because and that's a cost. Maybe not quite as quantifiable, but it's right there, and you always got to think about it. This is catalog book on the Osaka Castle. Well, let me say this, make sure I say it correctly. Osaka Castle Museum, and it was this is an exhibition on folding screens, which, I mean, this has a lot of great reference and info. Another one I'm excited to look through. Next, this one's really cool. This is from that theater person, I think. And this is kind of a folk art style work by Oscar de Mejo. And that's someone I'm familiar with, which is great because I get to look at some of their work, and they got some really, like this tennis one, holy smokes. That's awesome. Funky. I love this kind of work. I don't even know where it's from. I'd be guessing like 30s, 40s. The artist, I mean. This is a good one, actually. This one came in at about $4. And when you see it, it looks fairly innocuous, but it's the art book on R.C. Gorman, who was pretty famous kind of Native American artist. And the magnificent thing on this one is it's signed. And slightly pleasing to me, it makes it a little sweeter because I'm a little villainous, is that the book scanner pal that was right around there, he missed that because it didn't have an ISBN. So, sometimes you just gotta know. I'm a little sneaky. This is from the theater art guy. Lucian Freud etchings, catalog book. Very lovely. Love Lucian Freud, fantastic artist. He was, I forget exactly what, he had a connection to Sigmund Freud. I can't remember if it was like his grand uncle or, something, but he had a connection to him. But he was a British painter, great painter, also known for his etchings. Here's another furniture book, New Mexican Furniture, from 1600 to 1940. And this one might be pretty decent, actually. I really got to double check the comps on it, but I'm guessing around $30 or $40. This one's got a lot of cool stuff, I think. So it'll be fun to study this one, just for my own personal education. Now, one of the really cool things I did come across, this was yesterday, and for me it's the Scottsdale Thunderbird store, which I really like here in town. There's a whole vintage tennis book collection, and it either I'm pretty sure it came from a collector versus like a book dealer, but this is, I'll start going through them. Budge on Tennis, first edition. I mean, you could tell they were probably from somebody's collection because they were in pretty good condition, and they were like some of these were hard to find books. Oh, and some of these, the ephemera in them was just fantastic. Like here's this just like kind of envelope right there, and you got the I just love seeing the old handwriting, the stamps, the typography, just really great. They had a bunch of books by William Tilden, who was a major tennis player back in the day. I want to say 20s. Bill Tilden, William Tilden. So yes, these were coming in at about $2.50. Here you got, I believe, the book owner's signature, which just looks great. Some of those are going to be worth money, and some are just $20. But a lot of them are just kind of fun to have, to carry and sell. This one is another one. It doesn't have the dust jacket. My Story by William Tilden. But here you can see, and I think some of these, they had the same book but in different editions. So I think they had both the U.S. and English editions on some of these. This one's from 48. Some of these is between, you know, late 20s to the 40s. This is a neat one. The Cost on Tennis. No dust jacket. With dust jacket, I believe this is a very valuable book. It's still valuable even without dust jacket though, because I think it's fairly rare. But here's our guy, Jean-René Lacoste. Some of you might know him by the clothing line. Probably most people know him by the clothing line and didn't know he was a tennis player. And that's okay, because sometimes a brand outlives the original person. 1928. So that's cool. This one I'm pretty excited to find. Match Playing and the Spin of the Ball. I think this is the UK edition. I'll have to check. That's William Tilden as well. There were a couple editions of those. This one's not worth much, but also by William Tilden. Lawn Tennis for Match Players. And I grew up, I always loved tennis. It's like, right now, it's probably my second favorite sport, you know. Behind basketball. I love basketball. But I love tennis too. I think tennis is a very psychologically difficult sport. Even technique aside, it really tests the mind. That's a new one. Not particularly valuable, but it has the dust jacket. It's in very good condition. And actually the most interesting thing about that one is I did find a tennis card in there. And actually this one might be worth a little bit as well, because I think it's fairly hard to find. So that was really neat. Sometimes, you know, when I find these kind of collections, and along with the theater guy, I'm like, dang, I wish I could have met the people that own these, because it would have been so cool to hear them talk about their passion and like their knowledge on the subjects. I'm always like, feel a bit sad when I find a really cool collection, because I'm like, oh, the world lost a real one probably, you know, because oftentimes if somebody passes away, and so it's how the collections make their way back into the circle of object life. This is a cool one too, in pretty good condition. And the graphic on there is just cool, you know. I'll have to check. Oh, it's from 1930. I was like, yeah, it feels very era specific, you know. All right, so I think that's most of the tennis books, but I still got more books. I got more books. Don't worry. Don't worry. I mean, you should worry. I should worry because it's too much stuff. But it's fun. So this is a whole like set of vintage paperbacks by Alan Watts, who was kind of this guy who was into Eastern philosophy and religion and spirituality, and he was kind of a crossover guy to the West, and I think he was quite popular. You know, I mean, some of them just had cool covers. A few of these are worth a little bit. I think I'll just lot them up and try and pass a deal to somebody who is particularly interested in his work. I've listened to a few of his YouTube lectures, you know. There's some cool ones. You know, obviously you can't agree with everything even your favorite person says, but there's stuff I disagree with him on, but he's very cool to listen to. Definitely recommend checking him out. This is in the same collection. Yeah, so, and I think this was probably by the same person, because these books all came out at once on a new cart, and so sometimes you can kind of be like, I think that might have been connected, you know, martial arts with like Eastern spiritual influence. This is a random one, also picked up in that same cart. I mean, just a mushroom growing zine, Japanese. I mean, that's cool. Could take me 100 years to sell, but I don't mind. It was $1. A couple vintage Ginsberg paperbacks, poetry paperbacks. Beat Guy. Intertwined with Kerouac. Acapulco Gold. This is actually seems like a very hard book to find in this edition. The interesting thing about it is Acapulco Gold is when they were first trying to commercialize like marijuana cigarettes, I believe. So there you go. It's been a long, hard fight for those marijuana guys. This is a wonderful French comic artist. I believe this is one of probably his most recent book. he's a wonderful artist if you like this style, and it's okay if you don't. Well, because it's drawn in a very particular way, a very Euro style with that like deliberately shaky pen, a thin line, but wonderfully executed in my opinion. I love it. It's like there's a couple other comic artists in that like family of artists, like I want to say his name is Christopher Blaine, and the Karascoet husband and wife team, and I think they're all great. This is kind of a collector's edition of Dune, which is nice, contemporary. Probably about, between $30 and $40. Very cool book to collect, for fans. I like Dune. Well, I like a lot of the art around Dune. I like a lot of the concepts around Dune. I think the writing is a little dry sometimes. The style, but the work is really cool, nevertheless. I think this one is pretty decent. The Black Woman, vintage paperback. It collects different black female artists, writers from that, I'm guessing, early 70s. Found this one at the same time, so it might have been from the same collection. The Outsider by Richard Wright, best known for Invisible Man, which, no, he's Black Boy. Invisible Man, I'm getting some confused. My writer's confused. Vintage paperback, James Baldwin, Go Tell It on the Mountain. This one, I saw the cover and I was like, this one's worth investigating, and I do think it's decent value, actually. Some of these like religious ones that they bring some funk factor and they're vintage can be good, and I like having them around. Goosebumps fish pudding. It's good condition. That's why I picked it up. Another Japanese I think this is an auction catalog book. And again, this is just good. These kind of catalog books are great for just self-education and reference. And these ones got, they got a lot of cool stuff. And continuing, we got this vintage Japanese architectural magazine, The Japan Architect, from February 1963. Pretty cool. Sometimes some of the vintage magazines can be good, although you're looking at long sell-throughs. Highly depends on a lot of factors and what kind of magazines you're dealing with. This one, I love this art. It's really garish in fantastic ways. Look at that. That's just so garish. The cool thing too on this one is the thing that put it over the top is it's signed by the artist. Yeah, let's see. The name is Lindenman. It was published in Scottsdale, Arizona, so must be part of the reason it ended up here. Yeah, funky snake lady. Cool. I like that one. This one is kind of a big Chinese art book. I'll have to investigate a little further, but I think it, a lot of these should be good. They should sell just what's in them. It's kind of hard to show. This angle, but get a vibe on it. I love finding some of the art books, auction art books from Japan, China, because you can kind of see what's going on in those markets, how those markets are being valued. Actually, sometimes what I try and do is just have a basic gauge on exchange rates, so that, like, say when I look up a book that's a Japanese book, I can't find any on the U.S. market, I can at least tell what does that book sell for in Japan, in its original market, and that'll help me gauge on how in demand, or what at least the framework for pricing is on that thing. Because there's not any on the American market or easily to access from America, doesn't mean that there's any value. And even my method is not perfect. It just kind of helps whittle it down a little bit in terms of figuring out if I want to pick up a thing. So silks for thrones and altars, Chinese costumes and textiles. So, oh, they're just great book. Just to give you an idea on it. This one I was particularly excited to find is Treasures of Finnish Folk Art. Because I do love folk art. I don't know much on like Scandinavian folk arts, but from what I've seen, I like a lot of their like textiles and kind of patterns. Folk art tends to have a lot of cool colorways and patterns. I'm gonna find some of the color pages. Well, maybe this one just doesn't have many. So here you got somebody who's apparently one of the artists and workers, which is cool, especially when you get to see the dress and everything. It's awesome. Textiles. This one is actually, I think, fairly valuable. By fairly valuable, I mean over 50, possibly towards 100. But I do have to double check that. This one's not that valuable, but it is interesting. It's kind of Polynesian sort of area, and kind of some of this particular artist's work from that area. What is it? Peter Mathers? Is that their name? To double check. But it was pretty neat. Oh no, sorry, Peter McIntyre's work in the Pacific. So, oh, I did all the books, yes. Next, let's do clothing. Vintage Reebok. Let me readjust this so it's easier, so I don't have to like hold things up so high. But I do love the vintage Reebok like windbreakers. And a lot of people do. I mean, those probably sell like for 30, you know. Nothing too crazy, but these are really cool. Varsity like sweaters and everything. And this one, I believe was probably Paradise Valley High School, which is kind of my area. And it's cool because you got a lot of the personal touches. You got the guy's name, the last name is on the tag. So, and the tag is cool. I'll just show it kind of from afar. But you can see it's just got the typography, late 60s and 70s. It's got cool patches. I did pay up for this one. It cost me 20. But I can see how people want to collect these, you know. And the nice thing is it's got those, you know, those little pins on there. Again, one of those pieces, those kind of pieces, like some of those books and various things where you find them, like, I wish I knew this person's story because I bet they had a cool story, you know. This is a Le Coq Sportif, a nice polo shirt. This one is not noticed, I feel like, always by American resellers because the tag here is an older one. I mean, the Goodwill tag. Because it's more of a... Originally, it's from France, and I don't think they have made huge inroads into the American market except in, like, very specialty kind of, like, sports where it's like you got to be pretty deep into the sport and then you're into this brand. Like even in tennis, I would say some tennis people in the US are probably into this brand. But beyond that, more mainstream, no. And this one I think can sell pretty well. Going on, let's make sure like the whole mound doesn't fall. I found a couple Relwyn pieces recently. Yeah, we even had a quarter in there, so that defrays the cost a little bit. This is the tag with the birdie, Relwyn. I used to think when I heard other resellers talk about it that it was called Railwind. But this is a nice jacket, and they don't always price these up too much. This one costs about $13, and I didn't even comp this, but I didn't feel the need to do that. which is maybe lazy on me. It depends. Sometimes I'm in a real rush when I'm trying to get out. I had a dinner I had to get to the other night, and there were a couple pieces where I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure on these. And sometimes I will pick them up, which is probably not always the right answer. This brand, I mean, dragonflies all over the place. And it had the tag here, or the writing in there, embroidered writing, I thought was actually maybe somebody's name at first, but it's a brand called Stenstroms or something like that. And I think it is a good brand. The material feels pretty good, and it just had the vibe. I forget, there were a couple touches on it, like how they did the buttons and a couple things like that that made me think this might be a good one. And it cost $5, so I do think that one could be good. It at least I didn't get a chance. That's when I was on a time crunch on, so I didn't get to do a little more thorough research. I try and more thoroughly research the pieces and brands I really don't know that well, so that I don't screw up. But that one, the retail sales, is pretty high MSRP, which, I mean, there's stuff that they try to sell for $500 that you can't sell for, $25 on the secondary market. So it doesn't always mean much. But I'll see. Took a flyer on it. This is a vintage, America kind of button up. Chaplin. Not an extraordinary brand, I don't think. But it's pretty cool, just on style, I think. This is a Free People denim jacket. I picked it up just because this is like a very liquid brand and sells very fast usually. It cost about $14, so maybe look at like selling the 50s would be my guess. Now this one was the true one. I just could not, I did not have the time to check. So I just took it. But it's a vintage piece by Cordings, by JC Cording and Company. Cost about $13, but it had this nice little quilt interior here, and just the collar was nice, I thought. So, I thought you can use enough good keywords on that, even if the brand is nothing, that it should be fine. Sometimes you can really make up for a piece that doesn't have brand by if it's got enough style points or things going for it. This one was Polo Ralph Lauren, and it is a cool piece, but it does have a problem. And that would be that I believe there is this bleach stain right there, but it's fairly small. So let's say, let me see what I paid for on this one. Paid $16, but I do still think I can sell it for over $60. A couple handbags here. I think this is Patricia Nash. Not one I'm really familiar with, but what stuck out to me was just the style. And I don't think they priced it much. No, this was $4, so I think that could sell for $40 possibly, although I gotta check. This is a little Stitch bag. Very cute. It's just a basic Disney one. It's not Loungefly or anything. But this one costs $5. So, you could even just sell that for $30. This one here's a Carhartt jacket, but it does have flaws. It's got a couple holes and stuff, but it's pretty heavy duty, big size. So it does have a couple holes. Let's see, what did I pay for it? I paid about $12 to $13. So for a Carhartt jacket with flaws, I don't know. I felt good about that. This is a really good brand in my opinion. I mean, I've had good luck with it so far. Dale of Norway. So this one is one of the, I've never found one of their less heavy duty sweaters or sweatshirts. But this one came in at about $12, and it's a very nice bag. Yeah, let me show you the tag actually. They have different, a lot of variants on their tags, but I would definitely recommend keeping that an eye on that one when you find it. And they don't usually price these up. Not yet. at least at the Goodwills and Savers. I mean, that was for that brand, that's the most priced up it's ever been for me. This here is going to be American Giant. Now, I haven't picked up an American Giant before, but my understanding is it's pretty solid. This one came in with coupon around 11.12. This here we got, I just love the feel of the material and this all over print on this. I mean, it's just got such the preppy, like, you know, racket club, tennis club, golf club feel to it. Brand is Club Special. Luxury activewear. Usually when people use luxury to describe the product, it means it's not luxury. But this one still felt nice. Cost about $6.50. You know, I think I could sell between 30 and 40. And because I like the style, that's why I got it. There's plenty of things I find that do have that kind of margin, but I think are so boring and just so basic that I just don't want to have it. If that makes sense. Because there's so much other good stuff out there that you can choose to pick up. This one is a pretty good brand to keep an eye out for, I believe. J. Lindbergh. And I first learned about them because there was a crossover piece with, I think, Ralph Lauren. That's worth good money that I found a little while back. So, yeah, I actually don't pick up these kind of sport polos too much. Sport golf polos. But that one, I made an exception for because I do think that brand is pretty good. Let's see. Oh, here's the other Rel one. This one they didn't price up at all, thankfully. But there's our little pal, the birdie, the red birdie, Swallow, I would assume. And with coupon, it came in at a little under $6 probably. But it's got nice design touches, like just the buttons here on the hood is kind of nice. The other thing that stuck out, you know, when they're adding a lot of these touches, like this patch right there, that's usually a kind of a clue that it might be worth investigating. We got Patagonia Nano Puffer hoodie jacket. So hoodie, always good. That's another keyword you can use. People want hoodies. Hoodies are useful. Yeah, I did pay up. I paid 18. I paid 18 on this. That's including the coupon. Probably looking at, you know, a little over 60 though. And it should sell fast. So that's the other thing. These ones, maybe you can let me know what you think. These are for me. I love this kind of stuff. And I didn't have anything in this colorway for like shorts. So I'm like, yeah, see if I can figure out ways to wear that. We'll see. That's the part of fashion that's fun to me, and one's personal fashion. It's like problem solving. You find a cool way to make something work. You know, well, people got their different comforts. Sometimes people like staying with the basics or very narrow style, and other people's like to experiment, be a little crazy, or you know, and I think that's good. Whichever works for you that you're comfortable with. This is a vintage Yankees starter jacket, and paid up $32. So it's like that Hugo Boss jacket from the other day, which sold very fast, fortunately. I think this one will be fine. I'm not too worried because the Yankees, although they're the Death Star, they got a huge fan base. So it's like, I don't even particularly like the Yankees, and I'd want to wear this. So that's a cool one. Yeah, Taylor Stitch. You know, I found the same jacket before, and they hadn't priced it up because they didn't know, I assume. Well, this one they priced it up. So with coupon, about 18. But this is good because this one should be able to sell even for over $90. And Taylor Stitch is very nicely made, in my opinion. You can just tell the material is nice. They got the little bear, the TS. Yeah, I think these are great pieces. They do some good stuff. What's this guy? Pleasures Now. Okay, this one's a Japanese brand, actually. Sometimes when you got those weird, like, funky words put together, like American words, and you're like, that sounds weird. It ends up being Japanese. And this one was $8. So the reason it stood out to me was it just had a lot of like, okay, you got the buttons have the company info on there. Then, we had multiple zippers, like they spam zippers all over the place, which doesn't always mean anything because if you do it very cheaply, you can get away with putting on a lot of design touches on the thing. But this one also felt like pretty good material, which is another aspect to it. This one is a brand I remember from like the mid-late 2000s, like in the lowbrow, like pop surrealism sort of stuff. The brand was, let me tell you, Upper Playground. I remember like I would get like Juxtaposed magazine and this was pretty heavily featured in it. I don't know if a lot of that work aged well, but this was John Wayne and Little Wayne, so that's kind of fun wordplay. It's a brand I don't pick up too often unless the price is truly right. The G4, it's good, don't get me wrong, it's just like I don't really care about it. But this one, okay, it was cheap enough. It was with coupon about $6.50. And I know what I said earlier, even where I'm like, oh, if I don't like a thing, even if I can make X amount of markup on it, I'm not going to get it. Well, sometimes there are exceptions and I lie. So please don't be upset about my lying. Because it's highly dependent. It just depends. That's a cool graphic. I mean, what is this? Let me double check because I don't even remember. It's called Tribal. It might be vintage. I'm not 100% because it's got some design touches that feel very contemporary. Actually, no, I don't. I think it is contemporary, but it's neat, and it'll at the very least sell in style. This one, I feel like a bad person for picking up, to be honest, because I can't stand this dude, but it is nice. The material, I mean, and it should sell. It's the label on the shirt is and plus femme, so but it's ye, so whatever. This one is cool because you gotta love this Miami Heat colorway. It's a D-Wade jersey. This one's not stitched though, I'm sorry to say, but the colorway was nice and it was $8. Size medium, so probably wear it a few times. I love the, I don't know if Braun, they had a Braun one when, if they did that iteration when he was playing there. I have to check. Oh yeah, this one was tricky too. But I think it should be good because it is vintage Pendleton plaid flannel with a little quilt collar lining and made in USA. Now, I'll tell you, I paid $20. But I think it should be okay, even though it's a size small. So it's got some negatives going. I won't lose money, but I might have like, sometimes I don't like encouraging like Goodwill. Like if I buy a thing and I'm like, and I pay up, I'm like, I shouldn't encourage them that way by buying their pieces that they price this way. This one with coupon, $8, Polo Ralph Lauren. It's just nice. I think it's a nice dress. Just a button-up shirt, you know, short sleeve with the flesh pony. So you can use that in your keywording. So that's a cool one. Next we have most noted dog lover. Philadelphia Eagles, Michael Vick. Now this one they had priced, I got for $16 with coupon, and I do think that was fairly valuable. I mean, for a jersey, you know, contemporary-ish, we're talking valuable, like maybe $100. This one's interesting. SDSU, vintage baseball jersey, Aztecs. And they might have priced this one low because they assumed it was like a high school baseball jersey, which they'll do because with coupon it came out to about $4. Coliseum, yeah, so made in Korea. So that's generally good if it's made in Korea because it means you're usually dealing with 80s or 90s. That's my understanding. This one, Dixon. You know, I think a reseller had looked at this and left this behind, and it kind of got me nervous because I was like, if I find like some of these things and I'm like, I know like somebody who I'm assuming knows their stuff left it behind, I'm like, oh, I must be missing something because there's got to be a problem with this piece or it's not as good as I'm imagining. And plus the tag was a bit old, the Goodwill one, so I'm always like, you know, if these other resellers missed it or skipped on it, they might have an issue. It's size small, so okay, that's not great. But the good thing is this is like a collab piece with Steve Caballero. And it's got some cool design touches to it right there. And here, I'll show you the tag so you can see. Dragon, nice, neat. Of course, those geniuses mark it up with their paint pens, but there are ways, depending on the material you're dealing with, to get that off. Rubbing alcohol can be good, but if it's a lighter color and a thinner fabric, you gotta be careful because you can smear stuff around. So sometimes you learn the hard way with chemistry. This is a cool one. It was half off, so it cost me $3. This is just a Latino heritage like sort of shirt, but I got this for my own personal wear because I'm like, I love this. They'll see me from the moon. Hooray. Rain Spooner. Rain Spooner, pretty solid. Depends. But this one is the, who's that? Dietrich Wehr, something like that. Yeah, it didn't price it up. So $6.50 with the coupon. So yeah, won't lose. Just price it correct. This one, a little priced up, $6.50 with coupon, the weekend. But this one actually seems fairly rare, which is a good thing. So, no, not the weekend, Kid Cudi. You know, but it should be good. That's what I was trying to tell you. Polo Ralph Lauren, this is a cool one. That color blocking is nice. There's your embroidered, oh wait, actually, yeah. It's not, yeah. Anyways, it's cost $4. So that was nice of them. Sometimes they give you a gift, you take it. And you don't question. This one, I just noticed for the collar, first off, and I'm like, wait, is this actually Gucci? What the heck? And it's really cool because it's all embroidered all around the core, the collar, that snake, and then with the little, you know, Gucci bee. But the problem, which is why I would never use the name Gucci if I list this. Missing the collar tag, and then missing the inner tag. So I'm not going to claim, if I sell this, I'm not going to claim it's Gucci because you'll probably get a Vero on eBay. And also, even if it passes muster and you sold it, someone's going to buy it. And I don't feel good saying it's Gucci if I'm really not sure. And especially if I mark it up high. So that's just, this one I actually might just use for personal wear because I think it's cool. And it does feel pretty good. But I can't say, I don't know Gucci polo shirts to be able to assess whether it's, you know, legit. This one, I haven't worn overalls since I was like 5. But give these a shot, man. Just see, mix it up. That's part of the fashion thing I was talking about is like, you know what? Try things. Who cares? Especially I'm not working a corporate job. I mean, what the fuck do I care? What do I care? So, you know, I look like a clown every once in a while. It's not a big deal. And it's fun to try things. So, yeah, that's some of the recent finds. If you have any favorites, any comments, suggestions, corrections, because, you know, I'm saying a lot of things and there's likely going to be a fair amount of things I get wrong. And that's okay. I just need to be checked and corrected for things that you guys will be more knowledgeable on or can say, hey, you're wrong on that. Otherwise, my favorite pieces, I'm trying to think. I do like the Yankee starter jacket and a lot of the art books. I love the Lacoste tennis book. So, yeah, hope you guys have a good one. Always, always, always keep having fun out there. Take care.